is something that actually we see a fair bit. Um, and I think, Nolf, you may have done this a little bit of time ago, where if you miss a workout or miss a couple of workouts, you feel like you have to catch up for them. Yeah, you have to make up for them. And often this is done in a pretty like excessive way. So setting the scene, right? Someone has a busy week and then they miss their sessions, and then maybe on a Friday they do two workouts back to back, so two planned workouts. And the funny thing is, like, each workout probably is about an hour, right? So they're spending now like 2 hours, 2.5 hours getting all of this volume in. And so, we feel this really comes from the fact that you have to kind of like overcompensate if we miss something. Also, the kind of no pain, no gain, all or nothing mentality. So you kind of go from missing something earlier in the week totally to then thinking like you have to catch up on everything at the weekend. And as that is not a sort of practical or a sustainable way to manage such occasions, right? And so, whilst yes, it feels like you're ticking the boxes, it can relieve some guilt. It kind of has you feeling like you're pushing and you're making up for something, that more work always equals better results. That is not necessarily the case, because our bodies, they can only sort of do so much, right? They can only put so much effort in or perform at a certain rate, and also they can only recover from a certain amount of volume at a certain rate. So if you're overdoing things, then there's two issues here, right? If you are to say catch up on two sessions at the weekend, having missed some over the course of the week, there's going to be sort of two sort of things that happen. One, in order to do those two sessions, your performance is probably going to drop considerably. So instead of doing one session at like 110% effort, right, you're now spacing that over two sessions back to back, and you're only probably performing at like 60% effort, right? So for us, we would rather you are able to, if you miss a week, say, get the first workout in, give it your rule, and just feel like you're getting back on track there. There's no need to overcompensate. There's no need to try and do more, because ultimately the performance is going to suffer, the quality of the workout is going to suffer. And then the problem, what happens the following day or the following couple of days, you then get the muscle soreness, right? You may then push your body too far, that actually you need 2 days off now, for example. And so you're then having to over recover for the amount of time you spent training. So, what would be a sensible approach is maybe then you do one workout on the Friday and then one workout the next day, for example. So, just it's really about resuming and picking up where you left off, right? Resume the schedule as normal. We can help you shift the workouts along, and really, like, there's no sort of lost time, right? Whatever's happened in the previous week or two, it's happened. It's now just to get back in the saddle and sort of move on in a more sort of productive way. Anything to add there, Marvin, or does that sort of cover that off? Because I know
Yeah, I
you
mean,
sort of have a lot of these questions from people saying, should I do two workouts? Should I catch up?
yeah, and I think one of the other interesting things is that, like, when you think about a lot of other areas in life, that may not necessarily, be on par with how we view fitness, is that, like, uh, let's say you have a payment, whatever, car payment, whatever, right? Like, you miss that payment, that means your interest rate goes up, you end up having to pay more, or there's a penalty or a fine, right? Maybe you need to pay, I don't know, someone in your house, or help, or work, or whatever the case may be, and there's like that feeling of guilt because I haven't done X. So there's like a consequence for not doing what you should do. Whereas with fitness and training, maybe that mentality then spills over, and it's actually, as Peter has outlined very, very clearly, that this is not the case, right? We have all these other problems that come with that. So just a really interesting sort of, just because this is what applies to everyday normal life doesn't necessarily carry over into our fitness.
And then just in response to Abdullah's comment here, right? I mean, he says guilt, right? That is the thing that's driving this for a lot of people. The other thing is, Abdullah, I would say, If you are adapting more of a kind of temporary program or a full body type routine to get back on track afterwards, then that could be sensible. But this would be kind of an individual case, right? So for example, if you missed a week of training and you're going to get back into everything as usual the following week, then there's no need to kind of change things up. Just hit the program again and you're good. If, however, you are like, guys, like for the next month, it's going to be intense. I can't hit my 4 or 5 sessions. We would then say, okay, maybe it's time to actually, for that period, move over to like 3 days a week with a full body approach. So, yes, you're getting in or you're hitting the muscles and the movements more frequently than you would for like an upper lower or push pull legs or something like that. So it would depend really on what's happening after, if that makes sense as well.